Greetings, loved ones. Welcome to event of the evening. This one, what number are we on now? 9. Episode 9. Number of completion is a perfect segue for me to discuss what it is we're about to discuss. And here's one of the big questions out there right now. What is this NDDA? What is it all about? What does it do? What does it not do? Why is it here? We/I, Divergence, yourselves, many other loved ones, past, post, pre, on their way, all of them, need to kind of understand what our direction is here, what we're doing, and why we're doing it. Consider it like this. Pretend I was sent here to do something very specific. Pretend I was sent here because I have a pretty good understanding of equity and what the hell it's all about. Also have a pretty good understanding of the legal system, morals in general, but I've been to jail, so how can that be? Moving forward. The purpose of this is to establish some type of record for people, get something that they can get onto a record that would actually qualify in a court type situation for certain things, whatever they were trying to do. They're actually laying down foundational stuff. Because according to the other record, we know what that one reflects. And it's not well. Divergence and loved ones following us, helping us, aiding us, assisting us, contributing with us, moving forward, sometimes laterally, but never backwards with us. These individuals were also chosen and put here to fulfill a certain destiny, don't you think? The book spoke of this. When the truth is heard in those days, it will not be recognized. People used to go to a seminar of my brother's, and after 3 days, they were more confused and dumbfounded than when they walked in. Where did you guys learn this language? And again, remember, Dean and I and a few others, were there at the very, very beginning. Not the 30-day type individuals today who can read a couple things on Google and watch a couple videos and then claim to have the wherewithal to do what many of us have been chosen to do, and many are rising to it. They're feeling it right now, which is why our message either scrubs you like sandpaper or embraces you with angel wings. Of the good type of angel, not the dark one. Point being here, this NDDA I formulated as a screening process, and I can prove it right on the front. It's of no force and effect. It's of no value. None. As a matter of fact, that's established within the first 1/3 of the document. If anybody had been paying attention, if anybody was doing their own due diligence, they would have made certain discoveries based on the wording on this thing to know that it was actually just this is a test pilot. This is us going fishing. If some dots are starting to connect for you at this point, they should be. This should be resonating with you at a specific frequency that you've never really felt before. Do you think that is an accident? If you do, I suggest you go back to this recording and many of my other videos and my brothers and many other loved ones who are doing what we're doing, and I suggest you go start there. We/those in this position are at the tip of the spear for doing something incredibly special, something that most, if not all, others would not have the ovaries and the balls to do, B, would not have been able to commit to the time and energy and passion that it took, and C, continue to do just that. Amongst the beauty of this moment and the stones. See, we have to be facing all these challenges all at the same time. That's the only way you grow, is through constant stimulation. Use this stimulation to actually push you into directions that you maybe have been fearful to go. Use this time to take chances. Fortune favors the bold. Let's replace the word fortune with something that actually means something to 5-dimensional spiritual type people. Because again, if you thought of dollar signs right there, you're missing it. That's not what this is about. This is about us getting our control back. Own nothing, control everything. Guess what a synonym for the word dominion is? I'll just leave that with you for a moment. Point being to this conversation, it's important for me to insert at this time why and how I was implementing these things is to get a pulse on people. Those who are pursuing the truth, let's start filtering them. Let's start seeing who's made of what and what's doing who. This is all in an effort because this was all a test for all of us, ourselves, myself included. I do things unlike all others. Why is that? Is that a mistake? There's a lot of doctors out there. There's a lot of lawyers out there. There's a lot of professionals out there. There's a lot of that out there. What we're doing, loved ones, is a lot different. It's of a higher calling. Yeah, being a surgeon and saving children's lives all day because you can get into their brain and fix it, is that not a gift from the Creator? Of course it is. What I'm suggesting is that gentleman or lady is still acting in person. They don't know what they're doing in terms of equity. They may have the medical shit figured right out, but you want to know what? When it comes to doing what we're doing, they don't have a clue. Neither do the lawyers. Some high-ranking bankers do, but that would be few and far between. They keep this stuff a secret for a reason. Now here's where Satan continues to beat us. Well, I shouldn't say that. Let me retract that. This is how he used to beat us. Those tables have turned. I don't know if you felt it or not yet. If you haven't been, you might want to go put your ear on the railroad track and listen for a while. And if you choose to not look both ways before you do, see where I'm going with that one? Point is, you need to get a pulse on where we're going. There's a lot of scary times ahead for people that aren't ready, that aren't prepared, that aren't in line, and if they're not feeling what they're supposed to be feeling, why is that? Because they're scared because they haven't been doing the work that they should be doing. Problem is that they didn't know where to go to do the work that they should be doing. That's why they feel lost. That's where this whole abandonment thing comes in. That's why it is such an effective method of controlling us. That ruling class, my friends, knows this. They've been executing it against us for millennia. This is all by design, again, not random. This is all for a purpose. So imagine we're all thrown into the mix. We're thrown to the wolves. We were told to go be as wise as the serpent and then come out of it being as gentle as a lamb. Here's proof of what I'm talking about. I just had to remove another loved one from our group. The attitude wasn't resonating with myself mainly. And the lovely ladies that are doing so much work for me in the background, it would make your head spin. If you could only see what's going on here for us daily, all the time, it actually, as a matter of fact, never shuts off, which is the whole principle to going live in the first place. I was using that as a mechanism to get as much of me out there and what they are doing and the contributive things that are starting to happen. This constant online digital presence is, again, it's a record, it's a proof. It's actually evidence that can be used in a multitude of fashions, especially as, if you want to call Christ's return or AI taking over, if you don't believe in Christ and the Lord our Savior and all that good stuff, then you must be a science individual. And as a science individual, you still understand and appreciate the fact of what's to come and why we should be actually approaching this whole thing a little bit different. This thing out there that they're going to stick us with and make us sick, again, look at that as a blessing or a curse. Yes, it's very unfortunate that certain events are going to happen. But you know what? At the end of the day, this was all destiny. This was all meant to be. None of this is random. This isn't random. Because some of us are supposed to be doing something. Some of us are supposed to be leading by example. Some of us are supposed to be showing mercy even when you're getting hit in the face with stones. And again, here's another example of it. I explained to this gentleman that I am not concerned with the opinions of anyone save a few. I wasn't meant to care. Ask, as a matter of fact, if you don't believe me, ask Dean. He'll tell you how much I care and how long I've been doing it for. But not caring and not loving are two different things. I can have one without the other. Can you? I'm in a position where I'm supposed to gather those, as many as I can. Anybody who seeks the truth, has an online presence, is starting to stand up for themselves. Anyone that has followed Dean for years, anybody that appreciates what we are doing, and if it resonated with you, chances are that's why you're listening to this. So again, why are you listening to this? This NDDA should have scared you by now if you were going to seriously consider what we're doing here. So let's just get into this for a moment here. Okay, so we're starting off with an organization, but it's not registered, nor would it ever be. A revocable declaration and agreement. What's the word revocable mean? What's a declaration? And what's an agreement? Revocable means it can be amended. It can be ripped up. It can be not of any force and effect, if the parties so choose to exercise that option. What's a declaration? Well, that's you making a statement. That's you expressing intent, what it is you intend to do or not intend to do. And then the agreement is that there's two parties to this thing. Us / divergence, me / everything that loves doing what we're doing, would literally represent us or present us or be with us at any given moment in time. And then yourself. But you're coming into this, as you'll see here later on, duly. What does that mean again? Duly means that you're acting in person because you're already doing it. You cannot not be doing it. That's why you're listening to this audio recording. That's why you've been following Dean and many other loved ones that are talking about this type of subject matter. So the agreement is on paper. You endorse it, you duly express your intent, and you slap a thumbprint on it just so that I know it's technically you, so we know it's technically you. So we're suggesting here now that this is notice. So this is letting both parties know that there's a type of a security agreement here. That's the type of agreement alluded to above. For purposes of authorization and non-disclosure. Okay, so for purposes means that either party are going to have obligations, they're going to have duties, they're going to have rights, things of this nature. The other party's going to have expectations. The other party's going to have, terms and conditions that they want met, things of this nature. The authorization component is that you / the applicant / the one who wants to be a part of what it is we're doing is authorizing. You're agreeing. You're suggesting, yes, this is pretty cool. This gets me all tingly. I'm not sure why and how, but this is pretty neat. I'm going to go for it for a bit. And non-disclosure means that anything we talk about, technically, at the end of the day, I was hoping that you weren't going to use it for throwing stones. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Because this was either a cursing or a blessing. The cursing being that if you take this and you basically break what you agreed to here, that there might be lightning bolts. Especially ordered. Again, it could come in the form of a static shock when you put your sweater on, but it's going to be enough of a bzz to remind you of something. It could be worse than that, depending on what Creator here has in store for us all. The point being, so that this particular notice, okay, so we're talking about this one, not just anyone, of the security agreement duly entered into and made on whatever date it is that we came into this agreement in 2021 in Liber. Liber's pretty cool. You might want to do a little bit of digging on that word. For purposes of registration at the appropriate land titles registry between us and you. Again, you being the applicant. I know many don't like the word you. Registration was for this purpose. When we start to land interests for these individuals through the court system, doing it all perfectly. That's why we're dealing with perfected interests, perfecting our titles. Why wouldn't we try to go into a perfect environment to solidify all this stuff? Trust me, I know a lot, and so do many others, but the judges know still things that I don't. especially in regards to the procedure of how these things are dealt with in the background. Yeah, we can sit on this side of the fence and speculate all day, but again, I got better things to do, like actually going into the court and finding out. You got a lot of keyboard heroes out there that claim to know a lot about stuff, and they've done a lot of stuff and whatnot, but you know what? From all accounts and all the things that I've ever seen posted about them, they've done nothing except flap their gums and type their keys. Fantastic. You know what? I can use that energy, which is why I love the stone throwers. Keep throwing the stones because we're building houses for you over here. You just can't see it yet. So, after you were processed, if you want to feel like a cow, the court system just had their way with you. The judge may have asked you a couple of questions. You may have just walked out of a meeting with an order en route. You cannot describe how you feel at that moment. If you believe these things are possible, that's why you're on this call. That's why you're considering this NDDA. But now that I've let the cat out of the bag that it's actually worthless, and I'm going to get to that here right now. Okay, the purpose of this agreement in trust. Whoa, let's back that up for a second. Here's how it's fatal on its face if you've done any kind of homework. You cannot have a revocable and a trust in the same sentence. A trust is forever. It is irrevocable. So I set you up with a revocable situation, and then I claimed it to be a trust. Point being is that we're testing your moral character. Was this all done in your best interest? Of course it was, because we get to see what type of individuals you are. Yeah, we see stuff online. Yeah, we're going to keep spraying it with love. Again, back to the situation with the loved one. I just had to let go of all of the things we're doing for now for the following reasons. The energies weren't right. For what I'm doing and the people that I'm circularizing, I bet you that doesn't exist. The people I'm surrounding myself with are of a special energy and are capable of some incredible things. Many of you out there are not. Does that mean you're not worthy of salvation? Of course not. What it means is that you're just not going to be part of my mission for now. The second, third, fifth wave might pick your ass up if you get your shit dialed. And if you don't, it might be the 10th wave. It all depends on what you want to do and how and why. And do I really need to continue with that? Come on now. So now that the rest of this document is of no force and effect, let's just continue with this for a moment. Okay? So this is to provide the parties with a binding security agreement and a declaration respecting intellectual property. That's basically saying everything I'm processing and laying down. It's kind of got either my stamp on it with all of the other equity practitioners. Deans. I don't want to get into any other names, but any truth seekers that take this shit as passionately as we do. Those people. That's who I'm talking about. So we all collectively, by the expression of interests in a conveyance, stating facts and events subject to the rules of equity, doctrines of merger, and particular interests, including perfection. All done in good faith, keep in mind. And whereas the agreement is in relation to Party B, declaring herein and authorizing the entity known as us, and to respective directors, anybody that's involved with us, anybody that's a member on our chats, anybody that's an active participant in what we're doing is us, and with consent to submit any particular applications. Okay, so right here is where we actually step in for you. You're actually authorizing us to negotiate court filings for you, if need be. If you needed us to speak on your behalf to deal with a bank because you didn't know how to. If you wanted help with a creditor chasing you type situation. Maybe it's a spouse. Maybe it's a child thing. Point being, equity covers everything. So subject to the rules of equity, we're going to start getting into an agreement where we can actually come to your aid and assistance. And you notice how that's in the document first. Yeah, it's not at the bottom of the page. So it must be of significant interest. So, in satisfaction of you and to further act on the behalf of said you, to make or submit any applications. That's anything that you needed us to help you with, by either party, to deliver said applications with any supporting documents on behalf of you to the proper government agencies if need be. This is what administration sounds like. This is the administrator helping the applicant get somewhere. So whereas in declaration of you, the intent of the agreement surrounding the proprietary information of divergence and everything we're laying down, and again, what I'm asking here essentially is protect equity. Help it. Get it rolling. If you want to throw stones at equity, man, you've missed the boat completely. So, within the special proprietary information of Dï5 attached here to this is special in nature and is furnished to you with indemnification, which means protection for any wrongdoing for any party, not just you, us too, absent the intent to deceive or commit fraud. So, this is where it would be a big one. For somebody who, let's suggest for a case in point, someone wanted to slander Divergence online and then suggest that they were going to go and release everything to the public, when I've cautioned him not to. When I've suggested that these are private, sensitive materials. And if you continue, dude, lady, you might be in for a surprise. Because when you start doing equity properly, it's very simple to be very effective very quickly. And I'm not suggesting the FBI is going to show up at your door or anything like that, but you know what? So, we're actually protecting you with indemnification for any wrongdoing. So, unless you're intending to commit fraud and deceive, which again, I'm very forgiving with it. Everyone's going to find this out. As this whole silly thing unfolds, and yet it's one of the most important things that's ever happened to mankind. When equity returns, do you realize what that means? Anyone who stuck their nose in a scripture book will get this. And if this doesn't make sense, ask someone who knows something about scripture. Throw it in the questions for me. I qualify in that regard. So in consideration of a donation by applicant, and in portion of 10% of the applicant's life estate in remainder, okay, so when your estate gets liquefied, once it gets converted, once you have access, 10% is coming off the top for the administration of your estate. That's not going to Divergence. That's going to the government that you see out there right now. That's the trustees getting paid. That's the tithe. That comes out of scripture. Again, I didn't write the first two books, but I'm sure to contributing to the third. So, 10%, you're down to 90 now. That's already gone. But you know what? There's such wealth back there. 1%, my loved ones, is more than you could ever, imagine. If you only truly understood what was going on here. This isn't about money. As a matter of fact, the way I feel my legacy is going to roll out here is that my bank balance, it would only publicly ever show that there's $1 in there. But that $1 happened to be that one lawful dollar in specie in consideration of certain events. That silver dollar is going to do something. I don't need billions of dollars and trillions of dollars of debt notes. Those will be used to start fires pretty soon. What do you think the digital age is all about? You want to keep fighting the digital age and maintain that whole cashless society? Fine. But you know what? There are options. Get on the right side of the fence. Get the right parties working for you, not against you. And what do you think happens? Again, this is just about doing everything properly. So, okay, so 10% of your life estate and remainder. Divergence offers its services to aid and assist, and then in the due recovery thereof, what we just noted above. Notice to registrar, set aside for use by us under that discretion, accepted as a portion of collateral attached to the subject matter chattel paper which means we just liquefied the 10% off the top and we're trying to preset the stage so that they already know, you know that it's happening. Again, we're here to develop relationships. We're all working together. Those that are involved in the layer of filth, you're being removed. It was a matter of how dirty are your hands? How much shit have you done? I don't care if you've gone to jail. That doesn't mean you're good now. I've gone to jail. Well, that doesn't mean I'm good either, right? Correct. The point is, I'm laying down as much track as I professionally can. Every day. Everything I do. I want it recorded. I want it seen. I want a judge to be able to look at it one day. So that when I claim to be doing the things I'm going to do later, it's justified. Okay, so now we're talking about a portion of the collateral attached to the subject matter chattel paper, distributable, which means that it can be liquefied upon the registration of an interest in a financial asset, which happened to be your birth certificate with the coin that we stuck to it for you, as Jody had offered to all those who tendered such an agreement. Despite what the circus says publicly about us, you can actually talk to former loved ones where you'll see where the tape mark was on the paper, or there was photocopies of these events. Again, so we got a financial asset on the move made by the applicant, whether it's you or us. Sometimes we, divergence, concerning perfection of the security interest as financing charge statements, so accordingly subject to the terms below. So this is merely setting the stage to say to the administrator, if it wasn't me, and again, the intent here is to set these things up as a charitable trust, so the Attorney General acts as your administrator. This subcategory I'm doing as acting as the administrator is for people who wanted immediate relief. Because how long do you think it takes for you to get worthy of being entitled like this when you still act like an asshole? I don't care if you go to church on Sunday. That means shit to us. I know a lot of shitty people that go to church. That is not a defining factor for who you are or claim to be. Whereas you herein agrees and authorizes us to accept via email, mail, or any other electronic or manual transaction to deliver the said applications for your real settlement and to the proper receiver, depending on who it is we chose to send it to, for whatever the intent was, to aid and assist the proceeding of perfecting a security interest attached to a particular certificate of security and registered form. If you don't know what that is, I suggest you go watch some more of our videos. Please attach a copy of the applicant's certificate. A copy? In red. Did that get your attention? Please attach a copy of the applicant's certificate of birth as security. They don't even accept photocopies of security. Come on. So applicable to all applicants and must be received within the max 24 hours prior to the event, subject to return of fee. What that's suggesting is, if you know the military is rolling down your street in the next 48 hours to dispense a certain something in your arm, and you needed immediate relief, we would use this document to go to a judge and help you. Okay, but Darren, you just said this paper is of no force and effect. It's of no force and effect in the legal system, loved ones. Do you think it has force and effect in equity, though? Do you think a judge is going to look at this and say, oh, I can see where the spirit of this was going. I can see what the intent of this was. Excuse me while I have a sip of my drink. Continuing, that party, you, also agrees and promises under this agreement not to disclose publicly the special dealings or specific nature, otherwise the property interest of divergence, regarding any schedule of informations, that means anything I've ever disclosed, normally attached to said applications, the specific subject matter agreed to by the acceptance and endorsement, it reference thereto. That's a nifty way of saying everything that we're talking about, everything that I've divulged online. I can claim an interest in it. I can claim an equitable title in it. Sorry, another sip, hang on. Such import is necessary to the relief adversely claimed by you. What's that suggesting? That's suggesting we're importing something as much as we need it to the relief adversely claimed by you. We're actually putting information and material and knowledge and process and procedure into your hands so that you can go carry a lightsaber. You can actually go do stuff to people. You could even use it against me if you were competent enough. Do you hear me shaking? So this goes on to say, so everything that we've talked about and is known to those members as the wisdom system, and may also be described as the simple evidences inserted in and said applications. So any paperwork that I custom create for people to get out of a certain something stuck in your arm. I don't see a lot of that floating around out there, and I could very easily tell a judge, yeah, that was mine, that was ours, and yeah, not sure how that person or individual got their hands on it, but Your Honor, if you think that they're ripe for consumption, so be it. I'm not going to get in the way of that. Again, I'm only here to get a record started and get the ball rolling. Equity and the watchers are doing the rest. So such an import is necessarily effective. It has to happen to help you. And unless this agreement is revoked by divergence, us, and notice thereof provided in writing by any two of us, thereof, at the request of you, for the purposes of strict release, which means under these urgent conditions, because it would have to be an emergency for this to happen. Maybe like, I don't know, you got hit by sudden public opinion, or what your best friends think, or what some other guy says online, and all of a sudden you just did a 180, and now you're doing the other direction. So you need to be released of all that. And that's what we're setting the stage to do for both parties. So do you see any fraudulent behavior in here so far? If you do, you might want to listen to this again. So this agreement does not expire, however. Oh, hang on, I got to back up a line there. So under these urgent conditions, the further intent of this declaration sets a date for termination of this agreement. So what that's saying is that if you decided to revoke this, when I put my touch on it, another date is inserted saying, okay, as of this date, this agreement is hereby terminated and is null and void and things of that nature. The termination of this agreement this agreement does not expire, except under the terms mentioned above. Failure to observe the above conditions may result in a proceeding for recovery of a property interest in the nature of a disposition of interests by us. Marshalling of a portion, does that say all? In the amount of 90% of the established value of Party B, settled in life estate at the sole discretion of us, and each ascending portion registerable in the amount of 10%. So what that is talking about as you go up the ladder with the wisdom system, you're essentially getting 10 more percent of your estate within your scope, within your control. Yeah, I get it. I know what to say to a judge. Boom, that's 10%. Yeah, I know what to write to the Attorney General. Boom, that's 10%. Yeah, I know why an affidavit is important and how to create a trust. Boom, 10%, 10%. I know how to create the trust. Look at my version, Divergence. What do you think? 10%. Once you prove yourself capable, you get your whole, I almost said the F word, fucking estate. You get it. How much of that goes to us? Again, this was a test for people's powers of observation. That's all that's happening with this document. For those who have equity eyes to see it. But again, having the ability to even read this thing would have taken some skill. Yes, I know that. So failure to observe the conditions above results in 90% of your estate getting set aside in favor of the applicant. In favor of the applicant? Who's that again? Isn't that you? So all that's happening is that your shit's getting set aside for you regardless. And in favor of the applicant is subsequently in concert with completing the complete 9. That is 9 segments of the wisdom system. That is, again, as I just mentioned before, that is, one of them is the deed of trust. Another one is a quitclaim deed. Another one is a security agreement. See, that's where the 9 come from. Once you get your head wrapped around all 9, you unlock the prize for yourself. This way, it's a filter. It keeps out those who want their entire life estate because they have a parking ticket. And these people may be of shallow moral character. Who gets to decide such things? I do. So do you. So you choose to exercise it. And with completing the 9, or as to pertains to the specific details furnished by us, and that's us giving you all the paperwork to get there, and is granted upon a certificate issued by the applicant pursuant to that event, or to this award. That's saying that here's a little returned piece of paper that says null and void across it. This certifies that this agreement is now dead. And thereupon completion of the complete 9, within a reasonable period of time, warranties applicable under doctrines of equity. That's suggesting that we will live up to what it is I'm talking about. We will provide the means, the mechanisms, all the things I talk about as we come to acquire them. We're here to share it. That's the whole point. So this agreement was duly entered into on such and such a date by you / Thumbprint and us. So whether this shed a little bit of light on things for you, maybe that scared the shit out of you, and if it did, it was supposed to. If you heard that and said, oh, well, fuck, I see what they're doing in the background, yeah, sign me up. I don't care what the former and still loved ones. Okay, this is the 3rd time. I still haven't gone back to that. I had to remove a loved one off of our programs tonight. Again, the energy was off. And yet, in my correspondence, I'm still suggesting divergence never closes the door on peoples we're not having an alignment with today. I'm just suggesting for my specific mission, they didn't qualify. That doesn't mean they're abandoned. That doesn't mean, though, that I can still take their adverse claim with a photocopy of their birth certificate with a coin as a trust expression and go say to the judge, hey, Your Honor, although this person went sideways and never really fully recovered, I still wish to secretly do something for their estate to help them. What do you think? And you know what the judge's response to that is? If that is your command, throw stones. Because if little miracles start showing up on your doorstep, it's not because of all the good things you're doing. It may be because of good things somebody else is doing in the background, though, who had the heart to overlook your bullshit. Because at the end of the day, I understand how the credit karma game works with our Father, Creator. Love your enemies. I'm trying to create as many enemies, if not more, as friends. At least I know which side of the fence you're on. We control both sides. You will come to understand that one day. You may go down in history as being a part of some incredible thing. And boy, what a story that's going to be for your grandkids, if you're not sterilized. Peace be with you, loved ones.